G'day everybody, and for those who've come in late, you're listening to Expand the Phantom Podcasts. Please subscribe to us via your favourite podcast player or YouTube, and do not forget to leave a review.
500 years ago, he washed ashore the sole survivor of a shipwreck. And upon the skull of the man who killed his dad, he said, "I'm mad, I must eradicate piracy, injustice and cruelty, and all my sons will follow me, so evildoers will believe that this man cannot die." The Phantom, the ghost who walks. The Phantom, enemies beware. The Phantom's always there, but you won't mind the Phantom. He finds you.
We are the Expand the Phantom Podcast from Chronicle Chamber. Our website is chroniclechamber.com, and you can contact us via email, which is chroniclechamber@gmail.com. My name is Jermaine, and today I am joined by myself. Unfortunately, Dan and Stephen, who normally join us, have been held up with some scary circumstances. So we wish them all the best in this crazy time of the world that we live in. But we've got a very special guest, and I'm very, very excited to introduce Luke McDonnell, who is the artist from the DC regular series. Now, in podcast 155, we were joined by Mark Verheiden, who was the writer, and that podcast was one of our more popular ones, and everyone demanded that we get Luke on to talk about this excellent comic book series. So how are you, Luke?
I'm doing good, thanks.
That's good. Can you believe that we want to talk to you about a comic book series that was written 30 years ago and drawn 30 years ago?
Yeah, it's hard to believe. Is it really 30 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It was 89 and 90. But in saying that, it's a series that still speaks a lot of truth into today's society, which is kind of scary that maybe we aren't as evolved as we thought we were. There's disease, there's racism, there's pirates, there's gun running, there's poverty, there's famine. What was in the papers and happening 30 years ago is still happening today, which is kind of scary. Now, when we talked to Mark, we asked him about the series with the real problems. Was that something that you were pretty keen to do as well, to have the series talking about current problems?
Oh, yeah. I am. It sounded like the best way to go. I mean, I didn't have a lot of input as far as the scripts, but when he told me this was the approach he was going to take, I was all for it. It just seemed like the right thing to do, how to keep this character super relevant. So yeah, I was totally on board with it.
Yeah. Now, am I correct in saying that you were a Phantom fan before this series?
Yeah. My brother and I collected the the comic strips. We'd cut them out every day and paste them in our little scrapbook. And I think we filled a whole scrapbook full of Phantom strips. This was when Cy Barry was doing it. We loved Cy Barry's stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that scrapbook is around somewhere. I don't know where, but
yeah. So what was it about the character that you liked? Was there other newspaper strips that you liked as well, or was it mainly the Phantom?
We weren't really fans of narrative strips per se. We were more into the humor stuff, Peanuts and BC, Beetle Bailey, Pogo, stuff like that. But there was something about the Phantom that, I mean, compared to stuff like Mary Worth and Rex Morgan, it just seemed just the cream of the crop as far as narrative strips.
Yeah.
Plus, he was the progenitor of all the superheroes, and we were really into the superhero Marvel stuff. And so that was a big draw for us, that he was like the grandfather of all this stuff.
Mm. Mm.
And of course, the art was spectacular and well written. That was when Lee Falk was still doing it.
Yeah.
So just the whole, and the look of the character was very appealing. A lot of, there was sort of a nice mix between the brawn and the mystery, sort of the Spectre meets Batman, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were definitely fans.
Cool. Yeah, it showed in the comic book series that you drew, like little things like the Phantom Law, which had the the retelling of the Jungle Patrol origin, which was in trains, or Dr. Axel and the birth of Kit Jr. The childhood of the Phantom in the Hate series, and then of course the wedding of the Phantom as well. And then even also the For Those Who Come in Late in each at the beginning of each issue.
Right.
Yeah, it could tell that you knew who the Phantom was.
Right. And that was Mark's idea I mean, we all knew that there were a lot of people that didn't know anything about this character. So that little preface on the first page we thought was important, just to make sure that everybody was in the loop.
Mm. Yeah. What I loved about it is that, like you said, it was good for those who came in late, so to speak, but it was also enjoyable for the older fans who knew, because it was kind of like a nod to them as well, and then they could enjoy it as well.
Right.
Even to this day, I still read it and I enjoy those intro pages, because there's so the legacy, the lore and all that. It is enjoyable.
Yeah, just like having that little brief recap right there. I mean, it's such a compelling origin story anyway. So it was interesting trying to put an original spin on it every time. How can I do it differently, and how we can maybe color it differently or whatever. But that was a challenge.
Yeah. Well, I think you did a very good job of that.
Oh, great. Thanks.
Yeah. No. So do you still read and follow the Phantom now, or just casually?
I wouldn't know where to follow him. Is he still in the paper?
Yeah.
I don't get the paper.
Yeah.
I think I could go on King Features' website, I guess. They probably have it, right?
Yeah, they would, yeah.
And I know that still gets printed over on your continent quite a bit, but I don't see that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know where to find that stuff.
Yeah. Now, was the other thing that I really, really enjoyed from the series was the last panel of the whole arc, which was Diana and Phantom kissing at the wedding. Was that I thought it was a very iconic way of the whole series, how it ended. Was that by design? Did you have any input in that, or like that full page?
I had minimal input. I mean, I think Mark and Bob discussed at the beginning how can we wrap up this arc, and I think that's what they landed on. Let's put that right there at the end, sort of as a big finale. I mean, they didn't know that it was only going to run 13 issues, so I think they were kind of forced into it. But it was a great way to wrap it up. you know.
Hmm. Yeah, no, that panel's absolutely amazing. That full page panel
Yeah,
and
I've got it
stuff.
right here. I think, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I like how you've got the light shining through it, and
Yeah, and that's all this stuff in the background is a toothbrush with ink on it. It's called spatter.
oh wow,
So that's how I got that effect.
yeah,
In the ages before computer coloring, you couldn't really do gradients, but it came out all right.
yeah. No, I think is there a particular story or a particular page or panel or something that gave you the most satisfaction in looking back at the series 30 years later?
Uh, Always the action scenes. I was always best, I think, at the action. So that's what my eye really gravitates towards. Like, for instance, in this is page. Excuse me. I don't see the page number, but this is this shot of him.
Yeah. So that's where the Phantom's confronting Camel
Yeah,
in the last issue, in issue 13.
right. And this shot is good, but like I said, always the action stuff is what I enjoy doing the most.
Mm,
And that's what when I look at the old stuff, that's what my eye usually goes to.
yeah.
I didn't think my the quiet scenes. Well, I mean, the quiet stuff is fun. It's a challenge to try to make it interesting, but whenever the figure is in motion, that's what I go for.
Yeah. Did you ever receive any feedback or comments or even any changes from Lee Falk or King Features during the series, or is it basically?
No, they were pretty much hands off.
Oh, that's
I
always
think they
nice.
were, yeah, they were. I think they were just happy to have us, be interested in the character and try to get it out there
Mm,
for new fans.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, we didn't. At least I didn't. I didn't hear a thing. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure Mark and Bob didn't hear anything either.
Yeah. I guess that's always nice being able just to do your job and not having to it come back and changes
Right.
and 'cause
Right. Yeah.
that
There were no redos, no corrections, as far as I know.
yeah.
Uh, I don't know. What did Mark say? He had to submit the scripts to King Features, or?
Yeah, so I don't think there was much as well, but I think there was a little bit. And I think he did receive some very good comments and feedback from Lee Falk as well.
Oh, really?
I know I've read in an interview that Cy Barry really enjoyed your take on the Phantom as well.
Hmm.
Um,
I met Lee Falk once. It was I can't remember the year. It might have been 1990, right in the middle of this run. And I was at a convention, and there he was. I didn't know he was going to be there, and I thought, wow, I think I'll get his autograph. So I took the first issue
yeah,
up to him, and I said, "Can I get your autograph?" And he started signing it, and I said, "By the way, I drew this." And he looked at me and said, "Oh, very nice, son, very nice." So that was a thrill. I wish I still had it. I don't know where it is,
yeah,
the autographed copy.
that would have been a thrill. Did he say anything else about the series or talk about
I
anything else? Or
didn't, he was sort of surrounded by fans, so he didn't have much to
yeah,
say, but he seemed happy with the product, as far as I know.
hmm. Yeah, I've read comments that he enjoyed it as well, and how he enjoyed the take on it and what you guys did. It's to this day, it's still a sad that it didn't go further than just the 13 issues.
Yeah, it's too bad. I think the sales just weren't there, so they had to cut it short.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a certain threshold below which it's not economically viable, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a pity. So when you were drawing the series, I'm assuming it was done traditionally because it was probably done. It was before the computers. So could you just tell us a little bit about your process? Like, did you start off with thumbnails, or did you just go straight into pencils and then inks, or?
I think they were full script, so each page was Mark would break down panel by panel the action sequences and the dialogue, so I knew how much room to leave everywhere for the copy. And I would take some typewriter paper and do like a rough, just because when you work smaller, you have a better control of the composition. So after that, I would blow it up on my printer and do it full size, which is about 11 by 17.
Yep.
And after that, I think once it was penciled, they would send it to Bob Pinaha, who was the letterer. Then they would send it back to me. This is all, like you said, it's before computers, so we had to send it FedEx or the post office. And so I would get the lettered pages and then ink it and send it to DC or bring it in personally. And from there, they would get it colored by Anthony Tollin.
Yeah.
Who I think lived in Texas at the time. So, we were sort of scattered far and wide.
Yeah. Wow.
I lived in New York. The letterer lived in New Jersey. The colorist lived in Texas. Mark lived in LA. So it was, it's like pretty weird.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's amazing when you hear it broken down like that and how far it had to travel. It's amazing, just like that. I don't know what the mail was like back then, but the mail today, there's delays and stuff getting lost, and so in your career, did that ever happen where stuff got lost or delayed and you had to redo it, or?
Definitely delayed. I think I just remember one time where stuff got lost, oddly enough. I can't remember when FedEx when it came into business, but they sort of really helped the comic book industry quite a bit. Because before that, obviously, it was the post office.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But it seems so primitive now, like, what? You have to send it in the mail?
Yeah, it does. Because I could just imagine, I remember reading a story from Ed Rhodes, who I know who you communicated with back in the 90s and early 2000s, where there was actually a couple of daily story strips from when George Olsen and Keith Williams did it, and one of them got lost, and so then they had to like redo it and stuff like that. So it's I'm surprised it didn't happen more often.
Yeah, me too. It just seems like there's all kinds of things that could have gone haywire,
Yeah, yeah. How long would how long would a story take? Because you were the sole artist of this series, and the series came out once a month. Did
Right.
you start the series like 6 months before it came out, and there was already 3 or 4? Did you have a month to get the whole comic finished, or do you remember anything about the timelines?
I think we were, wow, I can't remember, at least a month ahead.
Yeah.
I think we might have had 2 issues totally complete before the first one was printed, so that gave us a little bit of a
Buffer.
head start.
Yeah.
Because I mean, once you fall behind, it's just so hard to try to get back on schedule. So, yeah, I think pretty much every book that DC put out was at least 2 months ahead because, just
Yeah.
so yeah, that made it easier. There was less pressure.
Yeah.
To try to meet the deadline.
So, do you remember how long it would take you to kind of, go from doing the roughs to the pencils and then getting back? Like how long it took you? How long, a page
Yeah.
took you in a day? Or
I would say, since I was inking it myself, the pencils didn't have to be really, really tight, so I could do them in a week.
the whole
And then,
story in a week?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And that's 22 pages, I think.
Yeah, about that. Yeah.
So it would take no more than a week, and then it would take Bob probably 4 or 5 days. No, it's got to be more than that. Probably took him a week too, because he had other stuff. Letterers usually lettered like 2 or 3 books a month. So then I'd get it back from him after a week, and then the inks would take probably 2.5 weeks. And obviously the colorist would be the one who really had to turn it around pretty quickly. So it took Tony, I don't know, 3 days, 4 days.
Wow.
To color it.
Yeah. So that's about a month.
Yeah.
2.5. Just over a month, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not much time for stuff to get lost in the mail.
Yeah. Definitely a tightrope,
Yeah. Did you enjoy it? But are you still drawing comics now, or?
Yeah, I'm working with a guy who I met there's this annual dinner called Friends of the Phantom, which Ed and Pete were part of, and I haven't been to the last 2, I think, but I met this guy at one of those dinners, and he wanted to start his own comic line, so we're working together.
Oh, nice. Is there anything you can share? Do you want to give it a plug on the podcast?
Yeah, the website is MR Comics and Art. I think that's what it is.
Cool. Well, we'll make sure we'll put a link to it in the notes and the article and stuff like that as well. Awesome. So, is it a comic series that you're drawing for with it, or is it some other stuff that you're doing?
These are all his characters. He comes out with an anthology every year, so it's not like a high pressure situation or anything.
Okay, cool.
But there's like a dozen different characters involved.
Yeah. So, do you prefer doing that now than the pressure of working for like the major publishers like a DC and Marvel and stuff?
Well, when you're young and full of, piss and vinegar, it seems not so much of a chore, when the deadlines, I guess. But now that I'm older, I don't think I'd enjoy that too much. You know.
Yeah, yeah. And when you're older, you've got wife, you've got kids,
Exactly.
and stuff like that, and they take up a little bit more time than when you're single and can
Hmm.
can survive on 4 hours of sleep and
Right. And ramen noodles. Yeah.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, ramen noodles. We call them over here they're meagerine. We call them meagerine noodles, but yeah,
Make rain.
yeah, meagerine. So same type of thing.
Ah,
It's just little instant noodles and little
right.
sachets. Yeah. I think they're every staple of every good bachelor.
Right.
So did I was going to say. So one of the questions that we've received from some of our listeners and some of our fans and fans of the Phantom was that they've all said, and we raised this with Mark as well, that there needs to be a trade paperback or a collected edition of this series. I guess hopefully someone will listen to this and go, "Oh, that's a brilliant idea." So, I'm assuming you still have some original art, and do you have like any Phantom work in case a publisher does contact you and say, do we have some extra bonus materials to include in the collected edition?
Um, I've got some drawings I did, sample pages I did for before I got the job. They just asked to see some, how I would handle the character.
Yeah,
So I think I've got a few of those sitting around, but I don't have like all the art. I've sold a lot of it.
yeah.
There's a guy in Australia who just bought a huge uh, piece. I don't know if you know him, Bradley Peach.
Yeah. No, Bradley. Everyone knows Bradley. He's a good guy, Bradley. He's got lots of money to burn as well.
Oh, okay. I should charge him more next time.
When he listens to this, he'll send me a message and say, "Oi, don't tell him to charge me more."
You let the cat out of the bag, man.
Yeah, no, he's a good guy, Bradley. I'm sure he would have told you, but he's got the submarine from the Phantom movie.
He's got the
He,
submarine.
yeah, the submarine from the Phantom movie in his backyard.
Holy crap! How did he manage to get that?
It was because a lot of the movie was filmed in Australia, and it was just sitting in a backyard type of thing. And we found it on eBay, and he managed to talk his lovely wife Joyful into purchasing it, and then it took him about 2 years to restore it. And yeah, they've
Huh.
done a great job of it. It's next to his pool.
Wow.
Next time you talk to him, ask him about the submarine. He'll love that.
Yeah.
So a lot of those questions that we just asked was from Andreas. So thank you, Andreas, for that. What was I going to say? Because you said before that the series stopped. I guess not expected or wasn't intended to be stopped at issue 13. Do you
Mhm.
remember like what was next? Had they planned more than just the 13 issues, or
Um,
did you do any more drawings for any other issues, or was it kind of like you finished 13 and then that was it, and then you
I think
moved
we
on?
got. I think we heard about the projected end of the series
Yeah.
when we were doing like 9 or 10, so we knew
Yeah.
like 3 issues out that it was going to be wrapping up. So if Mark may well have had more ideas,
Yeah.
and coming down the pipeline, but yeah, I don't know if he had more scripts sitting around waiting to be drawn, or I'm pretty sure he just wrote what was intended, and that was it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, bummer. Kind of hoping there might have been a secret 14 issue or something.
Hmm.
So when you look back at the series, do you know, like where does it rate? You know, you've had a highly credited and long career. Where does it rate amongst everything you've done?
Oh, it's pretty near the top. I mean, since I was a fan when I was a kid, it was such a thrill, being able to finally get to do that. In fact, now that I think about it, the first comic sample I ever did was a Phantom. I did it in college. It was a Phantom page.
Oh,
And I believe this was when Charlton was
yes.
publishing the character.
Like,
Do you remember that?
yeah, yeah. Well, I don't remember it, but I wasn't around then. But yeah, that was the 60s and 70s, Charlton.
Yeah, I would have to look it up online, but I think Charlton at the time was doing a series.
Yes.
So this would have been 1979, I think.
Yep.
I was getting a little bored with college, so I thought, why not just try to break into comics? So that's it's funny. I just remembered that.
Yeah. Wow.
But yeah, this was definitely one of the highlights.
Yeah, and I guess unfortunately the Phantom's not popular, so I guess for an American fan to be able to create it, that hasn't happened for a lot of American creators.
Hmm. Yeah, it's true. We're sort of a select bunch.
Yeah.
Uh, how long has the Phantom been published in Australia?
Continuous since 1949.
Really?
Yeah.
That's as a comic book?
Yeah, as a comic book, yeah.
Wow. Same publisher?
Yes, same publisher, free.
Huh. And how many copies, do you know how many it sells?
Oh, how many it sells per issue? I don't know at the moment. I think in the mid 90s, I believe I've read somewhere and I've heard stories that it was about 30,000 per issue.
Hmm.
Now, at an estimated guess, maybe I don't know, maybe 8 to 15, maybe.
Hmm.
But I haven't been able to get that out of the owners of Free.
Right.
But yeah, so it's not as popular as it has been, but I think I believe it's still strong enough, and there's still enough interest. We get listeners to the podcast and the website and stuff like that, and people, so there's definitely enough hardcore fans out there.
Right.
So yeah,
And,
and then Sweden has been publishing continuous since 1950, so it's their 70th year this year.
huh.
So I think Fru's up to about just under 1900 issues, and Sweden's at about, I believe it's about 1700 issues.
Huh. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is that like a record for a character over there? I mean, is there anything else been printed for that long?
Not in Australia. To be honest, it would probably be up there in the probably anywhere really, I would
Yeah.
assume, because DC and Marvel, there's a lot of characters there, but a lot of times they stop and then restart and get relaunched, and
Right.
so yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of one in the States that's been around and that's been published since '49. That's uh, Mickey Mouse, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so there's quite a lot, and as you can see, behind me and there's more in front of me and all that as well. There's been a lot of stuff that's been
Yeah,
created and stuff as well. So
paraphernalia. Are
yeah,
those like toys in the background?
yeah. So then there's cards, and then there's books and lunch boxes, and there's some drawings and stuff up there, and yeah. So there's all that type of stuff as well. So it's you know, it's the fan has been published in what six? Yeah, probably 50 to 60 different countries and as well. So comics and newspapers and that as well. And then I believe, I'm just going to confirm, but I actually believe that your story's been published elsewhere around the world as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in Europe it's been in Spain,
Yeah.
France.
So it's been published in Norway and Brazil as well.
Hmm.
I think some of the comics that I sent you, I think one of them is actually from Brazil. So
Okay.
yeah. So that's pretty cool as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. Since we've been talking and stuff like that, has there been anything that's jogged the memory or something you might be interested in sharing with us?
Hmm. Well, just looking at my collection, um, I'm struck by what we were talking about at the start about how it kind of anticipated lots of stuff that's still happening. Like number 6 was all about the environment.
Yeah.
Which is obviously really still out there with climate change and everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, Mark did a good job of like doing this sort of social commentary stuff and then mixing it up with like a straight ahead sort of action thing. Like the next one was just about, gold miners. So yeah, that's pretty much what I remember about it. It's just a nice mix of writing in there.
They're quite a heavy read, because it's almost depressing reading it at times because they're so real. Like we're dealing with real life events.
Yeah.
But I liked how yourself and Mark, how you put, the interactions with, there might have, like the wedding, or there might have been, those romantic moments between the Phantom and Diana, and it you worked very well together as a team, and yeah, it was really nice having those moments in
Mm-hmm.
between the real bits.
Right. Yeah. This kind of intertwining the lore and the background with
Hmm.
contemporary stuff. Yeah. It worked really well, I thought.
Yeah, no, it did. But yeah, it's everyone that I've talked to. I've never talked to one person who has not enjoyed the series. One
Oh, yeah.
fan, one fan and fan. I've never spoken to one fan and fan who's never enjoyed the series.
That's
So
great.
yeah, I think yeah. So are you so you said before that you just wrapping up, unless there's anything else you wanted to talk about, but you said that you've been selling some of your original art, and I'm also assuming that you're available for commissions as well if fans out
Uh,
there want.
sure. Yeah.
No worries. And what's the best way for them to contact you? Is it via social media or?
Uh, yeah, I'm on Instagram,
Okay, cool.
so they can find me there. I don't get on Facebook too much,
Yeah.
but yeah, I would say Instagram.
Awesome.
Or contact someone who's been in contact with me, like if
Yep.
somebody knows Bradley, for instance.
Yep. Or yeah, if there's someone out there, we can if someone's interested in getting in contact with Luke, we've got your email address as well, and
Right.
so yeah, and we'll include your Instagram profile with the comic publisher that you're working with as well, so people will be able to see what you're currently working on, and as well as see your Instagram profile
Mhm.
as well. Awesome. Well, I really enjoy your time. Is there anything else that we might have missed, or anything else that you wanted to quickly? Anything else you wanted to say?
Uh, hmm. I think that's pretty much it. Um, yeah, it was just it's nice to have people still remember you. You know,
Yeah.
something that I did. Gosh, was it 30 years? No, it was 1989. So 40 years ago. No, 30. Sorry.
Yeah. 30 years ago.
But it's such a resilient character. Obviously, people keep wanting to read stories about him. So it's like whoever was had anything to do with it I guess, is gonna be remembered.
Mm.
This was a good one too. I like that a lot.
The story or
The story, yeah.
yeah, the cover's very powerful as well.
I don't know if people know this, but this cover was started. If you see in the side, it says LM, then JK in parentheses. It's because I took it from Joe Kupert. It
Oh,
was a Tarzan cover,
oh wow.
which people could probably, I can't remember the number, but it's the direct swipe of a Joe Kupert Tarzan cover.
Oh wow.
So a little trivia there.
Yeah, I didn't know that one before, so it's one of the things I love talking about creators is because they give you these little tidbits, a little bit of information that you didn't know, and
Hmm.
you kind of get behind the mind of the creators, and why they've done certain things. And
Yeah, I think Joe Kupert was actually the guy who I was trying to, I don't know what you'd call it, channel the most while I was doing this. Just because I was such a fan of his Tarzan stuff. And I thought,
yeah,
Tarzan, the Phantom, very similar characters. So that's, looking back, I'm amazed at how much Kubert influenced me when I was doing this.
hmm.
I don't know if are you familiar with his work?
Vaguely, I'm not a I will. I've seen his work and I know who he is and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm pretty much solely a Phantom reader, if that kind of makes sense.
Is Tarzan big over there or no?
No, not really.
Huh.
Not like the Phantom. No. Um, One of the reasons I guess the Phantom was or is as popular in Australia is the early before Free, it was published in a women's weekly magazine, and they actually modified the story. So the Phantom and Diana came from Australia instead of New York and America and all that. So it's and it was the comics were distributed in our show bags, and so there's it's very ingrained in our culture in a sense.
Right. Interesting. It's funny how it just took root over there, just
Yeah. And then it didn't as much in America, but then you look at it in places like Sweden as well, where it's arguably, and even India as well, where arguably it's as strong in their culture as it is as Australia as well.
Mm-hmm. Isn't there a story about in World War II when Sweden was under Nazi occupation? Obviously, they were censoring everything, but they allowed like the Phantom strip to be printed there or something.
Yeah, so
and they were getting this propaganda from the Nazis that America was destroyed, and then they saw the Phantom strip and they thought, "How could that be?"
yeah. I believe that was Norway, which is
Norway.
Sweden was. Hopefully, I get this right and I don't get corrected from our Swedish listeners, but I believe Sweden was neutral during the Second World War,
Really?
and Norway was occupied. And there's even whether it's true or not, but it's a great story. There's even a story that the Phantom, the word, was used as a password in the underground
Right.
as well.
I think I've heard that.
Yeah.
Huh.
So it's and then even during when Italy, say for instance, was fighting, they were still printing the Phantom and stuff as well. So during the Second World War. So so you could argue that it's played and then there's a story with Papua New Guinea, which is an island just north of Australia. The Americans and Australians were there, and they had their comic strips and comics, and so there's a huge. The Phantom's quite popular over there as well because they saw the Phantom who was helping the natives and protecting the natives, and so they've put him on their war shields and they use him as a protector and stuff like that as well. So yeah.
He has an amazing history,
Yeah, he does.
It's he like helped win the war or something, I guess you could say, basically.
Yeah. Well, it's not the Phantom. You've got when America didn't jump into the World War II straight away. Some people create. As the story goes, they created Captain America and stuff like that to help beat the Nazis and stuff like that. So and then the Phantom was some people could say it was influential at the end of the Great Depression, just before the World War II and stuff like that as well. So I guess comic strips and media and stuff like that, can play an important role.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So who did that poster on over your left shoulder? Is that
which one is it? That one there?
the one in the corner?
Is it the one where my finger is?
Yeah.
Okay, so that one was actually painted by my stepfather, who's an artist. That's the
really?
Phantom riding hero. It was in the back of a free comic, and he painted that one for my birthday. Probably maybe 20 years ago, I guess now.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, he's got a rather unique style with the belt. Instead of drawing the skull in the belt buckle, he draws a smiley face.
That's funny.
Yeah. Well, I really enjoy spending time with you this
Yeah, it's
morning for
great.
you and this evening for myself, Luke. Thank you for making yourself available. I hope I didn't take you away too much from your family and breakfast and stuff
I
like
didn't
that.
think I'd have an hour's worth of stuff to say, but it looks like I did. So, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's amazing when you talk to Phantom, you find a lot in common and you can just rattle on quite a lot.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I really enjoy spending time with you. Now, if you love what we do, listeners, you can let us know via our social media accounts, which are Facebook, chroniclechamber.com. We're also on the Phantom Collector group. Twitter is at chronicle_tweet. Instagram, which is at Chronicle Chamber. YouTube, which is just search for Chronicle Chamber. This podcast will be on YouTube as well. And then everything we do is on our website, which is chroniclechamber.com. So again, thank you, listeners. Thank you, Luke. And until next
Thanks,
time, happy phantoming.
all right, take it easy.
500 years ago, he washed ashore the sole survivor of a shipwreck. And upon the skull of the man who killed his dad, he said, I'm mad, I must eradicate piracy, injustice and cruelty, and all my sons will follow me, so evildoers will believe that this man cannot die. The Phantom, the ghost who walks. The Phantom, enemies beware. The Phantom's always there, but you won't find the Phantom. He fights